Well, good morning and welcome to this morning's webinar, which is our annual Green Talks event. My name is Paul Holden and I'm the President and CEO of the Burnaby Board of Trade. Before we start, I'd like to just take a moment to recognise that we are on the traditional homeland of the Hunkaminam and Skohomish speaking peoples and to extend our appreciation for the opportunity to hold a meeting on this territory. I'd also like to thank the sponsors of this year's Green Talks event. Our platinum sponsor today is Traction on Demand. You'll be hearing from Traction a bit later on this morning, but they are a very valued member of the Burnaby business community, and they are one of North America's largest Salesforce consulting partners and app development firms, using the platform and their expertise to deliver best-in-class solutions to the most challenging and complex problems. Our gold sponsors are BCIT School of Business and Media, with over 100 innovative programs and 300 valuable courses. BCIT Business and Media is helping to educate our workforce of tomorrow while also upskilling and developing today's business leaders and professionals. They are a fundamental partner of the Burnaby Board of Trade and our work to support the Burnaby business community and a regular contributor to our sustainability efforts. Simon Fraser University is Canada's leading comprehensive university and has 3 vibrant urban campuses, including its flagship campus here atop Burnaby Mountain. For 56 years, SFU has been a pillar of our community and integral to the strength of our local economy, workforce, and business community, and are an exemplary organisation for action on sustainability. Alexander College is a private post-secondary institution which offers higher education to its diverse student body, including many international students just beginning their Canadian journey. They demonstrate tremendous community commitment as an organisation, and we're really pleased to have them here in Burnaby, particularly in their brand new purpose-built campus right here in Metrotown. Hemlock Printers is Canada's most environmentally sustainable printer and one of the leading commercial print providers in all of North America. Hemlock has been an instrumental member of the Burnaby business community and the Board of Trade for many years. And as always, I'd like to thank our annual partners, who are those organisations who stand out as top corporate citizens here in Burnaby and support our work throughout the year. And you can see their logos on the screen right now. So we are pleased today to be joined by 6 fantastic local businesses to discuss sustainability and innovation. During today's event, you'll hear 6 rapid-fire presentation segments where speakers will present interesting and engaging 5-minute talks on all things sustainability. As we go through today's presentations, if you have any questions, please enter them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screens, and we'll do our best to save a few minutes at the end of the presentations to answer those questions. I'd now like to hand over to Tessa Vanderkop, who at the Burnaby Board of Trade is our Manager for Marketing, Programs and Sustainability, to introduce our speakers. So Tessa, over to you.
Thanks, Paul. So to kick off today's event, we have Emily Dodge. Emily is a Social Impact Manager at Traction on Demand, a Salesforce consulting company with headquarters in Burnaby. She has a Master's in Science from the University of Massachusetts in the US and has worked in the business and sustainability sectors for other local Vancouver companies, including Lululemon Athletica and Saye Natural Wellness. Emily, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to the Burnaby Board of Trade for hosting this. I know we're all, as I'm getting my screen up, I know as we're all on different points of our sustainability journey, I was hoping to focus a little bit on Traction's journey and introduce you to that and some of our technology, and especially hearing more sustainability, climate justice in the news with, Canada passing the net zero emissions law, in the EU, the Green New Deal, and in the States as well, doing some ESGs. It's going to be a conversation that you're going to get from clients and also internally. So hoping I can shed some light on that. So 5 minutes. So quickly, just introduce you who Traction is, our impact journey, and what I feel is our top 3 going into the next year and 3 years. So as was presented before, we are a Vancouver company. We're a Salesforce enablement company. We have employees in Canada, the US, India, Australia, and just added New Zealand on there. And we really, as a company that implements Salesforce, we like to give what we're good at as well. So we have a whole social presence. B Corp is our North Star, so I'll talk a little bit about that today for those of you that aren't familiar with it. And we were, voted one of the greatest places to work and best managed companies. And that's a little bit of who we are. And, as what I will say is, if you haven't started, just start doing something. It can be the sustainability impact ESG world it seems huge and it seems like we can't do everything. So I would just say, look at what the values are with your company and align with your teams and your community to see what you really want to put your force and energy into. So at Traction, our VP of Community, Michelle Malpass, actually started about 10 years ago in 2010, and it was only 10 employees. We're over 1,000 now, so we've really grown over the past 10 years. But we started with community engagement, so it was really that donation piece. Who do the teams want to support in the nonprofit space? What causes were important to them? And also a volunteering piece. So at Traction, we offer our employees 2 days to volunteer. So we really started in that social portion of sustainability. And then as the nonprofit, our nonprofit practice grew, we started to give service grants to remove the barrier of entry for nonprofits adding technology and digital transformation. So at about 2013, B Corp was introduced. So B Corp I'll go into, but it's really putting people and the planet up on par with profits. So thinking, strategically instead of quarterly, yearly, 3 years, 5 years, how can we bring workers, living wages up? What do the benefits look like? How are we impacting our teams and making sure they're supported, and also that we are focused on the environment as well. And then over in the past 2 years, we've actually, since it's been incorporated into our business intentionally and integrated, we have a chief impact officer now, and we've grown a little bit in our portfolio. So you'll see this Traction for Good was what was really started 10 years ago with inspiring philanthropy, our B Corp service grants. And then we've added, as the world and the globe has spoken about it more, the sustainability function, JEDI, and growth is in here. Just, sustainability and growth can be interesting to talk about, but just making sure as we're going into smaller communities in Canada, so in Winnipeg, Nova Scotia, Nelson, our employees look like the population. So there's a certain amount of women to men, and also if there's an Indigenous populations that, in Winnipeg, it's 18 to 20% Indigenous. So we want to make sure we're hiring that amount into our teams as well. So that's a portfolio. This is a quick look at over the 10 years, we've given $3 million in service grants, donations. We've taught kids to code. So, social is really big. And what I was brought on to do was really dig into B Corp. We have a carbon neutral goal now, which I'm sure a lot of you have been digging into. So we will be carbon neutral by the end of this fiscal year. And we also, our teams developed what's called Sustainability Cloud to help us and also other businesses really be able to track that data and measure it a little bit easier, a little bit more intuitively with live reporting. So that's what I'm going to go over today. And, really quickly, B Corp, it's been around for a while. There's over 4,000 B Corps in the world. We started in 2013. It's a very rigorous assessment, and why I love it and why Traction loves it. It's not just the environment. It's not just social. It brings in governance. So, how transparent is your mission, your website, your board of directors, the environment? Are you tracking your greenhouse gases, your waste, your water? Employees, it does look at like living wages. What benefits are you giving them? Community looks into your donations, and also your suppliers, which is a big thing that's coming up, because as we want to go carbon neutral, it's also how are we indirectly affecting that? So with our suppliers, do they have ESG reporting? Do they have carbon neutral goals? Are they aligned with our values? And I know a lot of Salesforce, Google, Walmart, big companies are actually requiring a lot of their vendors to have these goals as well. So it's an amazing learning tool, values alignment. A lot of our recruitment, people that come into Traction is because we are a B Corp and they've seen our impact page. So it brings in like-minded people with similar values, and just the community. We find vendors that are B Corp. We find nonprofits that are B Corp. So really, if you haven't, there's a free link, quick link to take a look at some of the questions. And it just gives you really great ideas for things that you can implement. Carbon neutral. I just started this last year. So carbon neutral, really just start collecting data. So for your leases, your office spaces, I could talk about carbon footprinting for a while, but you really just want to start somewhere and see where you can make an impact. And then for us, over the next 3 months, we're going to be creating reduction targets and then offsetting anything that we can't control. So unfortunately, some of our leases, we don't have access to our energy data. So we have to take some averages. So we can't actually control that in real time. But what I'm excited about for offsetting is there's conservation through reconciliation. So working with Indigenous partners to really protect the lands instead of, certain development or anything like that, because that's really bringing that social piece in, but then also protecting, the trees that take in the carbon, that stop erosion. There's all these impacts into it. So there's some really innovative things that you can do with offsetting, because I know there's a big portion that, offsetting lets us continue to work the way we're working, but you also want to create those reduction strategies as best you can.
Hi, Emily. I hate to interrupt, but I'm going to have to get you to wrap for
30 seconds. Yeah. So our team, this is it, last slide. Our team created actually the sustainability cloud. So Salesforce actually bought this. There's a big update coming out in the next couple months, but this can help your company track your emissions. So it's an accounting, it tracks energy emissions. The auditors come in, we're going through our audit right now. And it also is going to be able to link you to those different offset opportunities. So just making it easier. I used to do this through Excels and passing around utility bills. So it's a step in the right direction to get you going and making it a little bit easier for you to start your carbon footprint and getting on track to becoming carbon neutral. I probably spoke really fast. That's my Boston coming out there. Thank you for that extra 30 seconds, Tess.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know there's so much to talk about, and 5 minutes goes really quickly. Thank you. Next, we have Alan Langdon. And as the president and CEO of Return It, Alan oversees the most successful used beverage container management program in Canada, with a mandate to develop, manage, and improve systems to recover used packaging and end-of-life products from consumers and ensure that they're properly recycled and diverted from our natural environment. Alan has extensive experience in sustainability, extended producer responsibility, and supporting the industry in evolving to circular economy solutions. Alan serves as a board of the National Zero Waste Council, advisory council member of the Canada Plastics Pact, and advisory board member for the Washington State Recycling Development Center. Over to you, Alan.
Wow, that was a lot. Okay, let me just share.
There was more, but I left it out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I have to talk to my people. Hopefully you can see this. There we go. So happy to thanks for offering the opportunity to speak today, and I thought it was a great presentation by Emily and all the stuff Traction for Demand's doing. I'm going to give just an overview of sort of the tangible things that Return It has been up to over the last couple of years as we look to build on our first 25 years in existence. So for those that don't know Return It, we're responsible for managing the used beverage container system in British Columbia. We've been a not-for-profit product stewardship agency for over 25 years. We're the only one in Canada, probably North America actually, that's 100% industry managed. And in addition to managing beverage containers, we also help operate the programs for major appliances and electronics. And we're employing directly 57 people and indirectly over 700 people in the province with a network of over 170 collection locations. In 2020, we defined our social purpose, which was kind of the next step in our evolution, moving away from just a mission or vision, but actually into a social purpose, which really embodied our commitment to creating a better future for people, communities, and the planet. And so we established a social purpose that really talked about we exist to foster a world where nothing is waste. And for us, what we wanted to do is after our first 25 years, we're really looking at resetting where we wanted to go for the next 25 years and have a broader aspirational goal, because the world of recycling and the world of material management has changed a lot over the last 25 years. And so we didn't want to just set an ambition for what we do in British Columbia, but how we could help address some of the global issues, particularly when you look at things like plastic pollution. Certainly we could do our part, and certainly British Columbians are doing their part here in British Columbia. But of course, it's a much more of a global problem and one where we need global solutions. And so it was really important that we look at more of a world or more of a global aspiration and how we can partake in some of the global initiatives going on to help address issues like plastic pollution and climate change for that matter. So we've tried to embed our social purpose in all that we do. So one of that is diverting waste through some of our changes, which includes our express system. So what we found that even though deposits and having to deposit is definitely an incentive, convenience more and more is the primary motivator for consumers to recycle, particularly when we look at some of our younger cohorts, either millennials, Gen Z. So we really wanted to kind of redesign our system on the go. So design a fast, convenient, contactless, and easy recycling system, or easy recycling experience, and one where the consumer could get in and out of our depots, our collection facilities in under a minute. So through our Express, there's no support, there's no sorting, and deposit refunds are uploaded directly through a user online account and redeemed via e-transfer. When we launched this system, so we've been playing around and piloting Express for a number of years, but about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we actually launched it more province-wide. And so in that time, we've gone from 20,000 registrants to over 180,000 as of today. And when we talk to customers, we're seeing a 95% improved satisfaction level. And in that 2 years, we've installed Express in over 70 of our conventional depots, as well as 2 of our own Express Plus depots, one of which you see there is in Lower Lonsdale. We've also built that out to an additional thing, our Express and Go facilities. So these are standalone, unstaffed, really reconfigured sea containers that really try and build on the success of the Express system. They're powered by solar energy, and because they're unstaffed, they have longer recycling hours. They're also a smaller format, which really is essential for us to increase accessibility across the province. So it allows us to locate collection facilities in dense urban areas or smaller rural locations where we wouldn't have previously had the opportunity. We currently have built 7 locations in just under 2 years, including 2 in North Vancouver, Tofino, West Vancouver Park Royal Mall, SFU here in Burnaby, Big Broad in the Big White Ski Mountain. And then we have additional locations added, our second university location, UBC, as well as Coquitlam and Kiramios, a small town in the Okanagan. And then, of course, one of the other major challenges is greenhouse gas. And for us, probably the biggest component of our greenhouse gas footprint is our transportation. Obviously, collecting material all across the province, you need to transport it. And much of that transportation today is done in diesel trucks. So about 1.5 years ago, we started focusing on ways we could decarbonize our transportation fleet. We've evaluated a lot of options. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of options in long-range trucking right now, but what we were able to find was kind of a hybrid electric solution. So essentially, we've changed over one of our trucks to compressed natural gas with a hybrid electric, as well as compaction technology. With this, one of these hybrid electric collection trucks can replace 2 conventional diesel trucks. And the way it works is essentially unlike a car hybrid where your electric really is when you're at slow speeds, the electric on these hybrid trucks actually kicks in either when you're going up hills or when you need to increase speed. So it helps give some extra power, which actually helps us increase the number of containers we could transport. So through the compaction, we're actually able to increase the number of beverage containers by 6-fold. So we went from transporting around 150,000 containers per trip to over 900,000. And by fully converting our fleet, we hope to reduce the GHG from transportation of beverage containers by up to 25% in just the next 2 or 3 years. 2 more of these trucks are actually on order and should be coming to us in November.
Hi, Alan. You're going to have to do a wrap.
I'm on my last slide. And then, of course, you know, the importance of everything is collaboration and partnerships. We have a number of partnerships we work. a lot of them aimed at looking at ways we can help educate people about the health of our oceans. Our latest was Diving In, which is a cool project, which I'd encourage everyone to see. We're supporting divers, removing, you'll see some of the debris there, all sorts of material from lakes and oceans up the Sea to Sky corridor. The material they collect will actually be turned into an art exhibit that is going to feature at a number of the art councils across the Sea to Sky, including North Vancouver, sometime later in 2022. So thank you very much for the opportunity to participate and look forward to the Q&A.
Thanks so much, Alan. Next, we have Graham Huguet, Managing Director of My House Design Build Team. Graham's extensive background in design and directing for theatre and television provided a foundation for his 25 plus years in the residential building industry. BC's Renovator of the Year 2013-2020, as a builder who is Built Green certified, his team of designers and construction personnel take personal pride in guiding clients through the design build process to create great living spaces. His team is most noted for incorporating natural light and West Coast contemporary design. Graham, over to you.
Thanks for having me. My name's Graham Huguet, My House Design Build. We design and build renovations and custom homes for both single family homes, condos, and commercial tenant improvements. We also have on our website at myhousedesignbuild.com, you can go on there and register for an hour-long version of what I'm going to cram into 5 minutes and talk about, and we hold these webinars every month. You can go online, it's free, Zoom call, and the next one is next Thursday. But I'm going to talk about Built Green and energy efficiency specifically to do with our housing market. We obviously are moving towards our step code in Burnaby. We currently, step code 3 is a requirement for new construction, but we don't really have that step code in place for a lot of renovations. And we have our biggest stock of homes is existing single family homes, not to mention the commercial tenant improvements, condos, etc. So I'm just going to share with you some quick points. I'm hoping quick points. There we go. So what goes into making a home green or sustainable? There's a lot of components, both inside and outside of the home, that go into the building or the reconfiguration of an existing home. Does this make an efficient, energy efficient home because they have this giant solar panel on top of this building? Or if we look at any of these buildings, how are these buildings, are they energy efficient? Can you tell? Does the fact that they have solar panels on them make them energy efficient? How do you understand when you purchase a house or a condo, is it energy efficient? Is it built green? Well, the way is to know what the certification of a project is. So now we have certification programs here in British Columbia in Canada. Some of the ones we're most familiar with are Passive Home Canada, Net Zero, which is the top of the step code 5, Built Green Canada. I've been part of Built Green for almost 20 years. And the EnerGuide labeling that we see on appliances and throughout the industry is now a guide number that you can have labeled on your existing home. And then Energy Guide labeling as well. How do you get a label? Well, you have an energy advisor who's like your family physician, who's like your best mechanic working on your car. And that energy advisor helps assess and diagnose the existing conditions of your existing home or modeling a new home and how you can reach more energy efficient and carbon neutral in your home. So the step code is something that was introduced 3 years ago in the building code in British Columbia. And so in each municipality around the Lower Mainland has been enacting certain levels. In Burnaby, it's step code 3, and they're moving to step code 4 and 5 over the next several years. And by 2032, all municipalities throughout the entire BC will be at step code 5, which will be a new building code requiring the equivalent of net zero ready for all new construction. So it's a roadmap to understanding how your home functions. And I'm going to use a quick example. This is a 1967 home that we rebuilt for this homeowner. When we first did an energy evaluation, they utilized 196 gigajoules per year, and they were at 8.8 tons of carbon. And we were able to reduce that through a series of air sealing, insulation, new windows, attic insulation, and many other upgrades. And so that we actually were able to reduce from 8.8 tons down to 0.8 tons of carbon, and from 196 gigajoules down to 57. Then we offset that 57 gigajoules with solar panels, and we created a net zero. In fact, it's the first net zero renovation in all of Greater Vancouver. And so what goes into design and planning? It's understanding that houses are building science. They work as a system. They involve both the structure, the mechanics, but also who is in the house and how does it affected by the outdoors environments. And the design and planning of a home really, or renovation, is about the weather barrier, the thermal barrier, vapor barrier, air barrier, how the house functions as a whole. Here's an example of a traditional home in the Burnaby area where we've done a thermal imaging, and you can see all of the orange, red, green, blue. That represents heat loss on this home. And so that's a huge amount. Black is the only place where there isn't any heat loss. And so we help people reduce that energy loss and consumption through retrofitting their existing home or building a better quality home. So building science really is understanding the conditioned space, and think of it like a great mummy sleeping bag or a great Gore-Tex coat wrapped around your house, understanding how reducing air leaks increases value in the home, comfortability, a more healthy home. High performance equipment could be things like heat pumps, triple glazed windows, recycle, energy efficient EVRs, better quality heating and cooling, as well as solar for your home. This is a Burnaby home near Deer Lake Park where we've done a net zero with full solar. And so that we're able to be attractive in both new builds and renovations. And then as a company, just to end this, there's many rebates available, up to $20,000 currently in federal, provincial, and utility rebates for doing energy upgrades, including windows, doors, insulation, heating, cooling, ventilation, and solar. And then as a company, if a person wants to engage us, we offer a 15% rebate. During COVID, we've offered that to help with preliminary design, inspections, and feasibility leading up to permits. And so go to our website, you'll see it, My House Design Build, and you will see a whole list of featured videos. And we are winners of over 100 industry related awards, including 15 just for sustainability and built green. Our most coveted is the BC Georgia Award winner you mentioned. We've been Renovator of the Year for the last 7 years consistently, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you. That was great. That was a masterful roundup of information. Okay, so next we have Christina Radvik from Lighthouse Sustainability Society. Christina is a project manager at Lighthouse who works alongside consultants and contractors to make their sustainability goals become a reality. Starting off her career, she developed and led the deconstruction program at Habitat for Humanity Greater Vancouver, where she did interior salvage work as well as structural deconstruction. At Lighthouse, she works with policy, research, and program development to divert construction waste alongside designers, owners, contractors, and policymakers. Outside of work, she advocates for social justice through her work as a former steering committee member of Women in Architecture Vancouver and leading conversations with allies. Christina, over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm just going to share my screen now. All right. Beginning. Okay, so hello, my name is Christina. I work at Lighthouse. And if you all are not familiar with Lighthouse, we're a nonprofit who sorry, my screen is lagging right now. I'm not sure if you're all seeing that as well. Okay, there we go. Great, okay. So yes, my name is Christina. So at Lighthouse, our mission is to create a regenerative built environment that nurtures ecological and human health. As was mentioned, we do a lot of work within the building industry, but today I want to talk about how the circular economy works and how businesses within Burnaby can participate within the circular economy as well. And this really integrates into some of the work that we're doing at Lighthouse, and I'm very excited to share with you all. And I just want to acknowledge that, these topics that I'm going to be talking about are inherently values that come from Indigenous communities. And so they're not new. It's not necessarily, it's not a new concept. We're really going back to old ways. And I'm speaking today from the Tsleil-Waututh, Stolo, and Musqueam unceded lands. But overall, a circular economy is this idea of how we can address, it's recognizing the limitations that we have within our world. And it looks at how we can take a system and close the loop, considering that a product is made, it's used, and traditionally it's thrown away. But how can we close this loop by bringing it back into these materials, back into the cycle, and reuse those materials? And so here's an example of what that looks like of an old, some hose, and the insulation from those hose is then used into a teddy bear, is used by a teddy bear manufacturer, and that loop is closed and continues, forever potentially. It minimizes the amount of new material that's being used. And this is relevant today. We have a lot of things that's really pressing is, we have COVID, the market fluctuations, but ultimately, there's the climate change really overshadows everything that we're doing here for all businesses. And, it's important to consider for businesses that for those that really look at environmental, social, and governance factors as a priority within the business, it actually creates more resilient businesses. And that's been shown through data over the pandemic. Some work that Lighthouse has done has been pretty interesting on this report called Watching Our Waste. And it looks at how that companies are really losing out on some of the construction and demolition waste that's produced from projects. So, through the construction, there's waste, and in demolition, it's estimated that about $100 per square meter of constructed space is actually is lost, and it's a missed opportunity there for businesses to take advantage of, and as well that the cost actually is saved through the savings of disposal costs. Will save on the additional cost of labor for sorting. So what are some of the specific things that can be done by businesses? Well, Lighthouse works with a few different certification systems that I would recommend for various businesses, depending on what you're looking for. For True Zero Waste certification is one that facilities can get certified. And it's a really great certification process that's quite involved and is quite, it's a really great system. Also, Zero Waste Canada has their own zero waste certification that's for facilities and events, which is very interesting, and it's really accessible for small businesses. And then as well, Lighthouse and Zero Waste Canada are coming out soon with a construction zero waste certification program, which is very exciting, but more related to buildings and renovations. And then as well, you have, if you're doing a build project, there's LEED certification and Living Building Challenge, which are all really great for maybe less specific to circular economy principles, but really great as far as sustainability and innovative building practices.
Oh, Christina, you have 1 minute left.
Okay, thank you. And as for reuse, how do you create? So you want to create these connections for reuse. There's a few online there's BizBiz is an online platform where businesses can connect and share resources, either materials, labor. You can share space, which is really great. A program that Lighthouse ran in the past is called NISP. And we're currently looking for funding to continue that program, but it was a really great way for businesses to connect and create relationships and connections in that way. So we definitely encourage that. And as well, people is often forgotten within the circular economy, but ensure that, that we're giving back to both staff and community when thinking about how to create these circular systems. Just as you can get certifications for your office space, such as WELL and FitWell, and just as a social disclosure tool that is really easy, a nice step to work towards building policy and equitable workplaces. If you're looking for any resources related to these, we have a lot of publications, some calculators, research reports as well on our website. And yeah, that's all I have for today. So thank you very much. And yeah, looking forward to Q&A.
Thank you so much, Christina. Next, we have Robert Esterer from Cell-Centric Fuel Cell Canada. Robert has over 20 years experience in product management and development of fuel cell technologies and products, currently leading Cell-Centric Canada's fuel cell stack R&D activities. Previously held leadership positions at MBFC, Mercedes-Benz Fuel Cell Canada, at the Automotive Fuel Cell Cooperation, and Ballard Power, all Burnaby-based pioneers in PEM hydrogen fuel cell stacks and systems. And Robert, over to you.
Thank you very much. So as mentioned, I'm with Cell-Centric Canada. I thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown on what we're up to, especially from the sustainability platform. Our business really is centered on sustainability, and I'll give you a little bit of feedback on that and hopefully leave time for questions. Okay. So who are we? What do we do? So Cell-Centric is actually, it's a company that is, our goal is to develop zero emission drivetrains for heavy duty trucking. And we are doing that through the development of hydrogen fuel cell powertrains. It is owned 50-50 by Daimler Truck and Volvo Truck out of Europe. And they are leaders in they call the Class 8 truck market, which are, the 18-wheelers, the 40-ton type trucks that you see doing most of the freight in the world. Here in Cell-Centric Canada, we actually came from a long lineage of working for Mercedes-Benz Fuel Cell, and we actually developed the actual heart of the fuel cell powertrain, which is the actual fuel cell stack. It is the component which takes hydrogen and air and converts it into electricity and water, so true zero emission. And we are here in Canada, and in Burnaby in particular, because a lot of the history and the ecosystem that's been formed largely around Ballard starting 20-25 years ago, and it's been sustained, and we're starting to prosper now as an industry, both because of the mandates and the social need to change, which is great, and economically we're starting to get the technology to be economic. It has, I'll say, it has technically worked for 10-15 years, but now we're in the range where we can make it economic and we can truly start to displace diesel, which is really what we're trying to do. Fuel cells historically have been developed more for the car market, the light duty car market, and we were I'll say in competition with battery cars. The way that the technologies are developing, light duty cars are really going to be more of probably an area that the batteries will be a better choice for consumers, and you already see that in the heavy duty market. So anything that requires a large payload and quick refueling, it is really more things that are generally served by diesel engines now really are more suited to fuel cells. So that's what we are doing here at Cell-Centric Canada. Just to give you a size of the pie that we're looking at here, this is a bit of a graph showing greenhouse gas emissions for the transportation market. basically it's a U.S. study, but it's pretty consistent around the world. So if you take greenhouse gas emissions, and you can see, obviously passenger cars are the largest, and that's, as I mentioned, is probably going to be dealt with the battery electric. We have aircraft, rail, ship, light duty truck, but then we have the piece of pie that we are dealing with, which is the medium and heavy duty trucking. And it's a little bit surprising to some, but about a quarter of all the emissions are produced just by transporting our goods. This is actually getting, and this proportion is getting higher and higher with the greening of passenger cars, so that 41% is going down, but a lot more transportation with the internet economy, shipping. So there's this piece of pie is actually growing, so it even makes it even more of a challenge and a little bit more of a priority for us to fix that. So the part that we are dealing with, it's self-centric, so give a sense of how the magnitude of what we're trying to accomplish. So of that 24%, Daimler and Volvo as our parents, they produce 20% of the world's trucks every year. So you take the fifth of that 24%. We have a pretty big opportunity to help with the climate sustainability if we just get our mission going and we meet our goals. Essentially, the way the industry is going, unfortunately, as a Canadian and North American, the Europeans are leading. And that's why the investors really are from Europe. They are going to displace diesel first, and they're aiming for basically they use a 2030 deadline where they're going to be essentially not able to sell diesel engine trucks anymore.
Robert, I'm just going to interrupt and say you have less than a minute left.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So we are hopefully going to start to lobby and actually influence the North American market now, especially with the government change in the U.S. Okay. We also have some, I'll say, operational initiatives that we're doing. So we are moving to a new facility, which is more of it's LEEDs approved. It's going to be a green facility. One thing that we do is we test a lot of fuel cells. So we test fuel cells and we make DC power. And one of the things we're looking at is potentially exporting this electricity into the grid through BC Hydro's infrastructure. Give a sense, if we had all our test stations going, we'd probably produce about a megawatt, which it's a substantial amount of power. The other thing about sustainability is that I'd like to mention about the strengthening of our fuel cell hub. We are a real hub here with Ballard, some of the other companies. We see ourselves as the Silicon Valley of fuel cells here. So the sustainability of our industry and our local strength is actually very important to us. And the other thing which COVID has really brought to bear is that we obviously do a lot of work, and we've had a lot of travel, etc., with Germany and Sweden, but we've really found better ways through virtual integration to lower our carbon footprint. Our footprint for carbon really largely is around travel, air travel. So a few other items there. So I'll leave it there and leave it open for questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Another screen.
Okay, well, so now we're coming up on our sixth and final presentation for today's webinar. I'd like you to welcome Christian Reich, who's the Deputy Market Manager for IKEA Coquitlam, and he'll share how IKEA is continuing to push forward on its journey to offer healthier and more sustainable solutions at a scale that Canadians can afford. Christian has enjoyed a long-standing career at IKEA Canada with various roles throughout the organization and is always striving for operational excellence. He places strong value in engaging and empowering co-workers, customers, and communities in IKEA's ambition to become a fully circular business by 2030. And Christian, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I will go quickly because I've got a lot of slides, more than I think others, and I want to make sure I can get through at least the major points. So IKEA has a people and planet positive ambition that starts with 3 core tenets: healthy and sustainable living, a circular and climate positive, and fair and equal. Fair and equal really starts with our coworkers, and we're proud to be a leading employer in Canada and globally, but then it extends to our communities. And a few things that we're proud of in IKEA Coquitlam in terms of supporting our communities this last year have been, we've donated over 1,000 home kits to at-risk and vulnerable communities in the local market. We were able to give voice with the help of a local artist, Shane Jackson, and memorialize the 215 children. And so we were proud to amplify that message. And we were able to participate in Pride yet again, even with the loss of the Pride Parade due to COVID, being able to have an installation set up downtown to amplify and promote the messages of that community as well. If we move over to healthy and sustainable living, IKEA believes it really starts with not only the products that we sell, but the materials we use. In the IKEA range, we have moved away from anything lighting except LED. Our entire range in 2015 switched to LED. We're in the process of moving away from single-use batteries to only selling rechargeable. And we are in the process of moving away from single-use plastics, both in our sellable range, but also in all of our packaging used. This extends as well to our food products. If you shop at IKEA Food or in our Swedish food market, you'll notice that a majority of our products are either ASC, MSC, or UTZ certified. And our ambition currently with our food range is to introduce more plant-based options. 20% is our goal to have plant-based. And if you've ever eaten at IKEA, you know that we have our traditional meatballs. We've recently introduced a new plant ball. Globally, annually, IKEA sells over 1 billion traditional meatballs, and our ambition is to disrupt this and displace these meatballs by selling our plant ball, which has a 4% carbon footprint compared to our traditional meatball. In the circular and climate positive arena, we really focus on how do we create more circular options for our products, as well as more circular options for our customer. The IKEA ambition really starts with how we position ourselves in our buildings and as an organization. And I'm proud to say that globally, IKEA produces 132% more renewable energy than it consumes. And in Canada, we actually produce 4 times the renewable energy that the IKEA Canada organization consumes annually. In fact, all of our buildings were recently converted over to complete LED, from our parking lot to our warehouses are now all LED. This also extends to the final mile for our customers as well. So our ambition is that by 2025, all of our deliveries to our customers will be with electric vehicles. Next year, IKEA Coquitlam will have 60% of its deliveries being performed by electric vehicles. So what is a circular IKEA? A circular IKEA really comes back to the materials we use, as well as the options we provide our customers. So at IKEA, because we are large consumers of wood and other materials such as cotton, all of our materials are to be sourced by renewable or recyclable sources. Currently, 60% of our materials are renewable sources, so FSC certified for wood or Better Cotton Initiative, and 10% come from recyclable materials. So in our carpets range, as an example, we have rugs and carpets that are made exclusively from recycled plastic bottles. By 2030, 100% of our materials and products will be sourced from renewable and recycled material. The options we provide our customers come in the form of education, so providing them ways to enhance, care for, and protect the longevity of their products, as well as provide them options as their lifestyle changes or as their needs change to find new and better products. In 2019, IKEA launched the Sell Back program for our IKEA family members, which allows customers to sell back to IKEA their gently used furniture for us to either donate or to sell to a new family, and for them to then be given a gift card to purchase new furniture that suits their new lifestyle needs and to live a more sustainable life at home. Our circular hub is where all of this takes place, and here we provide more transparency to how we work with materials, how we work with our recycling options, and the options our customers have for providing longevity to their products, as well as finding new and affordable solutions for products that have been gently loved by others. Our journey really aligns with the belief that sustainability shouldn't be a luxury that only a few can afford, but it's a better everyday life for the many people. And it really does start with equal and fair for our people and our communities, a circular operation with our materials and our products, and providing a more sustainable and renewable source of energy for our buildings and for our communities. So that's everything that I have. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity to share today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if they come up.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for all your presentations today. I always find it incredibly inspiring to see what businesses and organizations are doing to tackle what really are some of, like, you know, the enormous problems that we face in terms of waste and climate change and those kinds of issues. There's a question in the chat, and it's from Cynthia. Are there any advances in the toxicity of components and life cycle management in solar panels? Also, if you have questions, please feel free to turn your cameras on and ask or pop them in the chat.
Well, that's a great question. That's Graham from My House Design Build. And I know that within the solar panel industry, there's Canadian manufacturers who are utilizing a lot of recycled materials in the manufacturing of the solar panels. And they're very cognizant of the life cycle and what they can do for renewable materials as the industry expands. I'm not a producer of solar panels, I just utilize them, but that's the industry information that I have.
That's great, thank you. Any other questions? I'm just going to ask one really quickly, and I'll ask all of you, all of the presenters today, to comment on it. You know, business, I think, is going to be a big part of the solution. And I think, you know, there's so many resources, there's so many things that need to be done. What would be your advice to a business who wants to get started, who wants to be a part of the solution, wants to become more sustainable, but doesn't really know where to start? Any thoughts on that from any of you? And I'll start with Graham, because I see you on my screen.
Great. You know, we started thinking that way 15 years ago when we started to go cloud-based in almost everything. And from going cloud-based, it allowed us to also become less paper in our office. And so as we started to become more digital, which a lot of people obviously are, but we just became more and more digital. And today, every year we have different initiatives to become more and more cloud-based, digital, and using less resources like that, including even just our coffee maker in our office, making sure that the coffee pods can be recycled. As a building owner as well, we have solar panels, we have electric car depots for our staff. We're a small family and employee-run company, but we have now 3 electric vehicles. We've ordered 4 more electric vehicles for our construction company, including the new F-150 Lightning coming out next year. And so there's small initiatives, there's big initiatives, and I think it's just sitting down and brainstorming and taking little small bite-sized chunks out of what you can do.
Great. Yeah, I completely agree. I think you just have to start somewhere. And I think that helps to develop that mindset of that you can do it and it is achievable. Robert, do you have any thoughts on it?
I think you kind of stole my thunder there a little bit. I think that the key thing is just pick something. It can be an overwhelming topic if you let it get so. But just pick something either in the office, and it's really about building that culture of sustainability. So once you show leadership that it's important through a few examples in the workplace, people will respond, and the best ideas are going to come from all your employees, all your customers, etc. And just build upon it that way. And economically, there's many ways to do this, and it's if anything, is an economic benefit than a tax. So like I say, any company that's a little bit hesitant, just pick something, and run with it.
Yeah, that's great. And Christina, and any thoughts?
Yeah, I think definitely agree with what's been said. I think as well, talking to, if you have access to an expert in the industry, like someone who knows sustainability or a business that you think's doing really well, I think that would be a really great place to start. And like Robert said, like staff will have some ideas on what sustainability could look like within your company or customers, and really, crowdsourcing some of those ideas and setting some goals as to what that looks like. And I really like the way that Recycle Depot was kind of setting some goals as far as how does their operations look? What is the GHG emission of the operations within your company? That's where a lot of the company's impacts is in the operations of how people are actually making money. So it's important to consider these things.
Great. And Alan, over to you.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of just pilots. I think a lot of the stuff we've done that I presented started as, one location or one pilot. And then we just, have done a process of rapid iteration. I think one thing you find on pilots is you don't get it right the first time, which is fine. But we've made lots of improvements in the things we've done, from the compaction to our solar panel stations, and all just because we're willing to pilot. And as we went along, we just kept doing new iterations and improving and making things better as we go along. So I think don't wait for the big things necessarily, but find the things you want to work on and don't be afraid to pilot them. And then from there, you can learn as you go.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think starting small and building out is kind of what I'm hearing from everybody. Emily?
The one thing I would say is just, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Companies have been doing this for 20 to 30 years, and just reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, and that we all have our emails. We love to chat with people. I always make time. So look at the wins that other companies have had, and also I think survey your employees too. Like someone just said, they have great ideas, and if they're really passionate about it, they're going to bring that passion and spread. So it's not just you're the one talking about it. It spreads, and there's already buy-in from that. So yeah, that's just a quick nugget.
Well, and I also think that that's how you embed sustainability within an organization and make it really inclusive too. And Christian.
What's to be said that hasn't already been said? I agree with everyone in terms of it is start small. It is find those things that you're passionate about or your coworkers are passionate about and make a movement around it. And I think to what Emily had presented earlier in some of her presentations, what I found exceptionally helpful is the transparency of it and having programs or materials at your disposal that will help you track your progress and find ways and efficiencies, whether that be energy use or water use or waste consumption. I think being able to really start locally and at home, and then, create that movement around something you're passionate about and track your progress and communicate that is the key. Show people what you stand for. So.
That's great. Thank you. I think we're at time. So I just want to thank all of our panelists for taking the time to be able to share your experiences. I'm always, I get really inspired when I see organizations taking on big challenges, starting small, moving outwards. It's so important, I think, for us to be able to also share that information. And so at the Board of Trade, we've been engaging business in sustainability for many years now. If you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll always get success stories and news and information and resources about ways that that can help support your business. We also run a workshop series called Sustainability 101. We've got one coming up on social purpose in October. We have one on how to start your ESG journey with Stephanie Bertels in later October, and then how to get to net zero in November. We also have some other great events coming up. Wednesday, October 13th, the Sisterhood of Business Women, and then Small Business Week, October 18th to the 22nd. And again, I want to thank all of our presenters for your insights on sustainability and for taking the time today. Thanks to our sponsors of Green Talks, Traction on Demand, BCIT School of Business and Media, Simon Fraser University, Alexander College, and Hemlock Printers. Thanks for everyone who tuned in today. Hope to see you at some of our upcoming events.